War. War never changes.
Hey you guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Toni Krause, and if you're not new here, my name is still Toni Krause, and welcome back. I've missed you guys oh so much. In this video, I want to talk about the pre-war political landscape of America and what is the plan from here. Right, we're in this wasteland. They got what they wanted. They got a nuclear war out of us, but what is the plan going forward? We will discuss all that in this video. Now, let me just preface the video by saying this, because I'm going to be saying us and we a lot. And I know you couldn't tell by my accent, but I'm an American, and being as though I'm going to be talking about America's pre-war political landscape, and you know, so far the show and the games have taken place from an American's perspective, it's going to just be natural for me to say us and we. So just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there. All right. Now, let's discuss the pre-war political landscape. At the time the bombs fell, America was a 301-year-old democratic republic where we, the people, believe we had a voice. Okay. We used our votes to influence political change, policy, elect political leaders. But what if I told you all of that democracy was just an illusion? It was a performance. The true rulers of America were these mega corporations. They controlled our government, which means that we were under a corporatocracy. A corporatocracy happens when corporations have more power and influence on the government than we, the people. How did they get so powerful, so strong to be able to override our democracy, but keep us unsuspecting? Let's look at a few factors that contributed to it, and then we'll look at an actual example of a corporatocracy in the wasteland that exists still to this day. First, they weaponized our patriotism. They used propaganda. You have to understand, propaganda is extremely effective. Even when you think that it's not influencing you, you're being influenced by propaganda. They used our patriotism. They used the media. They used entertainment, and they sold us war as a necessity. Let me break down each of those parts. Weaponizing our patriotism. Everything the corporatocracy did not like, they called it communism. Everything is communism. You're a communism if you speak out against the corporatocracy. Cooper had to learn that one fast, because at first Cooper was just like everybody else, being conditioned that anything against the corporations was communism. Everything that kind of spoke truth to power was communism. His friend invited him to a meeting. Cooper said it was a bunch of communists, until he heard it out of his own wife's mouth. He sent an all surprised Pikachu face, because they were telling the truth. They wasn't just a bunch of communists. There was a bunch of truth telling communists. He understood that they were not communists. They were telling the truth. But they've been painted communists, so that way anything they say can be discredited and automatically rejected, because we have been conditioned not to believe anything a communist says. You know, the Chinese boogeyman, you know, everything that resembled communists was supposed to be eradicated. Okay, in the words of Liberty Prime. They use media. Think about who presented that commercial for Vault-Tec. Galaxy News presents Vault-Tec. And they use Cooper Howard to present this little fake family in this vault, talking about everything's gonna be all right with Vault-Tec, knowing good and well. Okay, but think about that. That's just one instance of how the corporations work together using the media to push their little propaganda. The truth is, anything that the corporations did not like, they own the media companies. It's not owned by regular Joe Schmoes. It's owned by conglomerates. What they want, what agenda they want, what narrative they want out there, that goes. They control the narrative. They control the narrative, and they push this propaganda on us to always be in their favor and to silence anything that stands against them. If you go to Arlington area in Fallout 3, you'll come across a factory called Mama Dolce's, and she told us exactly who the enemy was.
Greetings to the oppressed masses from the peace-loving peoples of China. Your boys are dying on the Alaska front, and all for nothing. Bring them home before it's too late. Do you think your readers will keep you safe if the bombs fall? You will die while the Wall Street gang and their hangers-on live like kings, and all peace-loving peoples must join together to stop the war of aggression being waged by the Wall Street gang. Your boys are dying on the Alaska front, and all for nothing. Bring them home before it's too late. The gang of Wall Street fat cats and their Washington warmonger puppets have plunged the world into war to line their own.
But you would never have heard that channel outside of that little space because she had to pirate the radio because the corporatocracy would never let that fly on the radio stations. Come on. That is how they did it. They use entertainment as a distraction. Nuka-Cola promotions everywhere. You got RobCo coming out with different gadgets all the time. All of these game shows and stuff just to distract us from our rights disappearing, okay? To distract us that they are violating so many antitrust laws and laws that prevent monopolies. We don't even notice because, well, we're distracted. Then they sold us war as a necessity. Like I said, the Chinese boogeyman, okay? You draw on our patriotism and then you start telling us, well, we have to go into war with this country and that country. We need war. We need it because you got communists. Communists are coming. Ooh. Then you got West-Tec building all this power armor and stuff. You know, it's looking cool. It looks great. You know, oh, our boys are going to go out and get them. But somebody has to wear it. And there has to be a need for the power armor. So in order for West-Tec to make a profit, we need to be at war. So they sold us war as a necessity instead of us seeing it for what it was. It was just corporate greed, you know, pushing us into conflict because they want to sell their little faulty power armor that, according to Cooper, still got people killed. And then it got a bunch of Brotherhood of Steel people killed. So I'm not happy about that. So yeah, forget West-Tec. But anyway, the true propaganda isn't for forcing people into submission. It is about making people willingly accepting of their own oppression. Unknowingly, they've accepted that the world is coming to an end, and when stuff hits the fan, we're going to get splattered in it. I don't cuss anymore, so yeah. So on the battlefield, they were using T-60 armor. That's not government sponsored. That came from a private company. A lot of America, at the time the bombs fell, had become so privatized. Everything was privatized, from the energy, the military. Everything was privatized. Even water probably was privatized. We might as well have become the United States of America Inc. Okay, the United States of America Corp. We were just one giant corporations. We became a corporate wasteland before the war even took place. At some point, we stopped being a country, both literally and figuratively. We stopped being a country and just became a corporate wasteland. The death of democracy came when war became a business model, okay? War became an economic engine. And basically, our whole economy was being fueled by endless wars and military contracts. We had the Sino-American War. It wasn't about resources. It was about corporate profit. We had Vault-Tec and the war hysteria. Vault-Tec needed a problem so they could be the solution. If there was no problem, nobody was going to buy a space in the vault. So what did they do? They started funding paranoia about nuclear war and impending doom, and being prepared for the future is a must because they're gonna drop a bomb on our heads. The Chinese gonna drop a bomb on your head. Might as well get a space in the vault, right? So as long as people were scared that this was a possibility, and oh my gosh, the news, GNR is presenting Vault-Tec because this might be a possibility, and Cooper Howard is behind it. Oh yeah, I need a space in the vault immediately, expeditiously. I don't want to die like that. So they started getting profits from this whole war paranoia, this nuclear war hysteria that they put out. West-Tec, RobCo, and other military contracts like power armor, robots, FEV, that wasn't for national security. They were just products being produced to be sold. Because everything has become so privatized. The war at that point wasn't an accident. War was inevitable when you have a system that's making war profitable. So then we look at, well, why? What's the point? In profits, because pre-war money is junk. I mean, I use it to build beds and cots and stuff. You know, it's good cloth. It makes for good cloth. Well, there is a reason. Let's look at Mr. House. I've done this before where we looked at Mr. House as an example, but let's just look at Mr. House so we can understand what was the point in it all. Mr. House didn't own the strip. He bought the Lucky 38, made it look like a real operable casino just to never open it to the public. It was his little plant on the strip to be ready for the time America was destroyed. When those bombs launched, he protected the strip as much as possible because he knew that he was going to want to gain control of the strip. Now that America is destroyed, Mr. House, who had no claim to the entire strip, who didn't build it, nothing like that, now he's up here ruling it as if he owns the place. Now that's because he lied in wait. He waited for democracy to fall. He waited for America to fall so he can come and be in power as an autocrat. And he don't want no rivals to his power, so he managed to make sure the NCR had to get out too. Now yeah, they're kind of thriving under him, but there is no opposing Mr. House. He's an autocrat. There's no democracy. What he says goes. Now look at that on a larger scale with the corporatocracy. They've destroyed America. because Barbara said it herself, they want to build a perfect monopoly. That monopoly means that everybody who is in power right now, these mega corporations and the ultra wealthy, those people who are at that space right now will be the only people at that space forever. There will be no new Vault-Tec. There will be no new West-Tec. It is just them. They've eliminated any and all competition, and they have secured their place with the resources and the powers that they have to be able to always be in control of America, even if it's a wasteland. And that's why whenever they see any sort of opposition, they hurry up and take it out. Reasons why Shady Sands was nuked. The corporatocracy didn't want to see that. When Hank went back and said what he said to Bud reported to his head people, and they got rid of it. How did they get rid of it? I think either one or two ways. Either they launched the nukes that we see in the Lonesome Road DLC, or they used orbital strikes. Not like the military and the US government isn't under the corporatocracy's control even after the nuclear devastation has happened. The Enclave works for somebody. They're not just trying to kill everybody off for no reason. The Enclave still works for these corporations. They're not just getting new and improved power armor from nowhere. West-Tec is still there. The reason why they can even go into the vaults with these access codes, because we saw that they managed to access Vault 13. The corporatocracy is still in cahoots with the military and the US government, now known as the Enclave. The corporatocracy don't want to see us out here thriving and striving. They want us to be underneath their control, and since they cannot control the wasteland, they rather eradicate it and start all over with the Enclave and the vaults that was meant for human preservation. They rather start over with them instead of with us, and that is why twice the Enclave tried to kill everything. The Enclave tried to kill everything twice. I don't know how they're gonna try to get us again, but they tried to get us twice. And it's not like the original people from the corporatocracy are gone. Bud is around. I said that I want to talk about an example on how the corporatocracy still exists. Look at Vault 31, 32, and 33 if you need an example of how the corporatocracy operates. Vault 31 is the corporatocracy, where we have Bud, who is planting our leaders of Vault 32 and 33 into spaces of being in power. They are loyal to Bud. They are loyal to Vault-Tec and their corporatocracy leaders. So when they get into Vault 32 and 33, they're not going to go and deviate from the plan. They're going to continue on with business as usual and not even let the plan slip out that, hey, we're pre-war frozen assistance. Now, we the people being Vault 32 and 33 are none the wiser. We think that, they're going through a process of being elected. Meanwhile, the game was rigged from the start. We are just pawns in the corporatocracy's chess game. While we think that we're playing a game of life, we're really playing a game of chess. We're not playing along. We're in the game. But that is why they destroyed America. They've destroyed the world to destroy democracy and opposition. So the final takeaway is this: America didn't die in nuclear fire. It died the moment the corporations made people believe that they couldn't live without them. America, the wasteland, it's not a post-apocalyptic world. It's what happens when we have no limits on these corporations and their greed. Mr. House isn't a dictator. He's the end result of corporate rule taken to its extreme. Fallout teaches us a very valuable lesson that winning Monopoly means that you got to make sure nobody else can play. And when America fell, the corporatocracy, these corporations finally had this game board to themselves. When you're playing Fallout and you're making your own decisions and you think that you're in control, you're on borrowed time, and the minute that the corporatocracy comes back, we're going to see a boss battle like no other. Anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video. It started raining really bad. I'm hoping that the background music can drown out that rain. It's Florida. What can you do? Not much. But anyway, you guys, that's the video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
You will die while the Wall Street gang and their hangers-on live like kings and...